Bit of news out that Vern Cotter has been appointed the head coach of the Flying Fijians. He's on a 3-year deal, which will begin once he finishes his current stint with Montpellier over there in the top 14. I was just getting ready to get my video ready about the Sunwolves season for 2020, and then I saw this news. So I think it's a pretty good appointment. I rate him as a coach. He seems to be one of those guys that lifts a place. He's able to get more perhaps than some of the other coaches have done. He takes over from John McKee, who was with the Fijians for quite a while, and you would have to say that the 2019 Rugby World Cup campaign for Fiji was pretty disappointing. It was a bit underwhelming, seeing as how much hype went into that campaign, with the big name players, and just how well generally they had been going prior to the World Cup. They didn't really bring it at the tournament, so I think that's definitely going to be one of the targets for him. But he's also mentioned in his quote saying he's excited for the opportunity to coach the Flying Fijians and to be involved in the development of rugby in Fiji. So that also mirrors what the Fijian rugby board have said in terms of what they want from him. But I should mention before I go to there is that you'll notice that Scotland's campaign at the Rugby World Cup 2019 was also a wee bit disappointing. If you look at Scotland's campaign under Cotter, it was pretty good. So this is kind of part of the reason that I'm optimistic about this appointment and how far the Fijians can go under him. They quoted as saying, I've just read this in one of the announcements, that Vern's appointment, he's expected to drive a culture of high performance, fitness, and discipline standards. That's an interesting quote in itself, that they're not worried about the skills of the guys, because some of the most skilled players in the world, but he wants them, they want them fit, they want them disciplined, and they want them performing at high levels, which, yeah man, let's do that. No reason they can't. He seems like a really, if you look at his history, coached with Joe Schmidt in the Mitre 10 Cup back when it was the NPC, coached the Crusaders under Deans in a very winning team, went to Claremont and won the top 14, went to Scotland and had I think the article I read said his success rate was 53%, pretty good. Their Six Nations campaigns certainly had a bit more optimism than they do now. He's a really high-rated coach. He was kind of talked about for a few jobs, so I really do think it's a good appointment for Fiji. That being said, I also mentioned development earlier. It seems like his coaching crew is going to be all kind of Fijian coaches that'll be supporting him, and also part of his job is to develop local coaches so that the next person who takes over after him will be Fijian, which is always cool. It's not a must that your head coach has to be from your own country, but it's certainly a nice thing where you can have it. If you can get the best person for the job who's going to get you a better result, that's fine. But if you've got that genuine competition where a local person's putting their hand up for the job, I think that's all the better. So, yeah, it all sounds pretty good. He should be ready for their first game, which is on the 4th of July against Tonga. They're saying he should be finished with Montpellier by that point. The 3-year contract is an interesting one. 2 years gives you a chance to have a crack on the team and see if you're ready to take over for the World Cup. 3 years is 1 year shy of a World Cup, so it doesn't give you that much time to find a replacement if things don't go that well. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I would have thought you either go 4 or you go 2, but they've gone in the middle with 3, at least on the article that I read. I did read a couple of the articles. And, but yeah, I think it's a good appointment. Like I said, his track record's good with all the teams that he's been at. The Champions Cup campaign for Montpellier this year has been pretty average. I've watched their games and I've not been that fussed, but I think overall his track record has been pretty good. They mentioned a fair bit about that. He's worked with a lot of Fijian players before, so he should be able to kind of hit the ground running. Let's hope so. I think Fiji is one of those teams that even the neutrals like to get behind, because they generally do just play such an amazing, entertaining game of rugby and have some of the most skilled players in the world. So, yeah, good track record, good targets, I think, with the World Cup if he makes it that far with that contract, and also the development of rugby in Fiji as a whole. He's only one man, but he can certainly lead from the front. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty happy with that appointment, like I said. Here's wishing him all the best in his role. Once he starts it, whoops, I've just bumped my camera up. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on Vern's role with the Fijians. How do you think he's going to go? And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.